Then there is, I write, a lot of people basically write once a week, daily, an hour. So everybody keeps writing.
Okay. So that's a good thing for all those daily writers. It's a really good thing because the key to successful writing is writing daily. No matter what you write, no matter how vague it is, no matter the thoughts, no matter the ideas or the vocabulary, the grammar, the main thing is you have to keep writing irrespective of whatever it is. So only then you can develop a pattern between you and for yourself that you can actually pull all your thoughts into writing, and that's how it happens. So since this creative writing as a topic covers a lot of sections and a lot of aspects under its umbrella, so we will be concentrating only on one aspect at a time. So today we'll be only concentrating on story writing as a concept, as we only have an hour to go. So yes. So when you think of the word story, what it is that comes to your mind? It can be places, it can be characters, then plots, events, the endings, the climax. So there are a lot of things which are attached to a story. So then to begin with, everything has a story to tell. For example, all the tangible things like your laptop or your mobile or your phones, everything has a story to tell. Even the intangible things like feelings, emotions, ideas or your passions, everything has a story attached to it. Uh, you can even see a simple chat in your WhatsApp or a Twitter or a Twitter, a thread of a Twitter, thread in a Twitter, or you can see a comment section in a Facebook. Everything has a story to tell. It has something in the past and something in going on, and it has definitely a story to tell. So for me, story is a tunnel that has two ends. That one is the reader end and one is the writer's end. And in order to write a good story, what I strictly follow is to step into the shoes of a reader. So unless and until you think from a reader's point of view, you really cannot actually put your efforts towards writing. So having said that, there are four aspects that come into a story. First one is the character, the person or the character of the story. You can say, for example, if I give you an example, it should go like Harry Potter as a character, or you can say Augustus Waters from John Green's The Fault in Our Stars, or you can say Christian Grey from the book 50 Shades of Grey. So it depends on the characters that are there in the story. So your characters are very important. Okay, so now depending upon the character, depending upon the length of the story, actually, you can frame a character. For example, if the length of the story is quite long, or you have to write a book, then the character can take maximum build up, like can tell something about his past and why he is the person he is, and you can talk about his behavior and the attitude and other things. But if the story is a short story, then we have to cut short on the character. So we cannot actually go into his past and details. So we'll focus on the way he looks or the way he behaves, or you can say the way their habits, his habits, and so these are a little bit about the character building. Then next is the place. Okay, so the place is very important, and it's important because it is always related to your plot. For example, if you have to write a sad or a depressing scene, then probably mostly people go for gloomy, dark nights. Okay, so they don't go for something that is mismatching. So if you want to write a scene which is sad or depressing, usually gloominess or gloomy background or gloomy place is used. The description of the place is usually gloomy. Next is the plot. And now, plot is very important in a story. I'm just mentioning the plot in a very different manner because, as we have seen, the entire story going haywire because of the plots. Like, I don't know how many of you have watched Thugs of Hindustan, but there literally the plot was nowhere to be seen. Now I'll just explain plot in a very easy manner. For example, if I'm writing a story and my character, if I write, she went on to meet a friend and handed her a bag. Okay, so as a reader, the reader wants to know what is there in the bag or why is the bag in the particular scene. But as a writer, if I completely forget about the bag, I have plotted that bag in that particular scene and I completely forget about it at the later point, then the plot goes missing. And there is nothing actually a reader can connect to. So the plots are very, very, very important. Another example I would like to give of Game of Thrones. I don't know how many of you have watched Game of Thrones, but for all those who have watched Game of Thrones, Jon Snow died and he came back. And the whole purpose of he coming back was something concrete, something that we were looking forward to. Like, okay, what is going to happen next? Is he going to kill the Night King? But nothing like that happened. Again, there was a masked lady which was there in the Game of Thrones. I don't remember the season, but she was present, and there was an entire scene which was there with that masked lady. And then she just disappeared, and she was nowhere to be seen. So there were a lot of plots that were left in between, and nobody took care of those plots. So plot building is very important, and it has a cause and an effect. Cause and effect thing attached to it. Like if something is happening, it will have an effect. Like readers usually expect something to happen. Okay, so and next is the ending. Of course, nobody likes to uh, have a very normal, monotonous ending to anything. It's like nowadays people don't even prefer happy endings. They want something with a twist or something that you know uh, keeps them on their toes, kind of thing. So as an ending, we have to make it full of suspense. Like, okay, this was it, but a reader is expecting it to be this, but I'm not making it this. I'm totally changing it into something else. So that is the ending part of it. And okay, Shraddha, do we have any questions as of now?
Not exactly a question, but Rimisha has asked opening endings. So, would you suggest opening endings to your writing?
Hello. Yeah. What she has asked?
Opening endings, like an
Opening
ending.
endings.
Yeah.
Yes,
What
yes,
is your
yes,
take on
yes.
that?
So, oh, right, right. But as a beginner, I would really not prefer that. But as a professional writer or an experienced writer, I would definitely suggest, because that is something really catchy and it holds the attention of a lot of people. But since this workshop is for the beginners who wants to actually, put their thoughts into words and are finding it difficult to write down the basics of writing, so I would really not suggest opening endings for those people as of now. That's it, Shraddha. Shall I
Yes,
move on?
Rama. Yes, please.
Okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
Swati, there's one more. Indirect
Yeah.
and deep content. Okay, I want the way for these type of stuff. This is written by Tushar. He's asking indirect and direct contents. I want the way for these type of stuff.
The indirect and direct content.
Content, yes. He basically wants to
And
understand how do you write indirect and direct content. He wants something where you can explain that to him.
yes, we'll definitely explain it to him. But I don't think that is a part of today's workshop or webinar, we can say. We can save it for another day or another webinar, because we have this 1 hour in hand and I really have to cope up with the rest of the things. So we will keep
So,
that, take a note of it, Shraddha. We'll definitely have a webinar on that the coming days.
definitely.
Yes? Okay.
Okay, there's one more question. Which writer do you prefer for us to read more in order to enhance our skills?
Okay, so
This is
as a
asked by
begin,
Tushar.
okay, as a beginner, you can pick up Sidney Sheldon. I would really suggest, highly recommend Sidney Sheldon as a as an author for a beginner, because I have started my reading from Sidney Sheldon. So I really love her the way she writes, and it's not too difficult language. it's not too difficult a language as well. It's quite easy. Polo is another one, but if you only if you are into philosophy. Otherwise, Sidney Sheldon would do for a fiction or a story kind of a novel.
Uh, Swati, we can move on. Rest all of the questions probably we'll answer it at the end of the entire slide because otherwise we'll just keep on answering questions and we'll not be able to move
Yeah,
on.
right.
Right?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the next in the line is once we are done with understanding how the story writing works. The next is I want you to know that the story, any story is based on three things. Now, what are those things? So, okay. So first are incidents. So let me explain to you what incidents are. Like for example, if I am writing a story, it will be based on an incident that has already happened in my life. Okay, so we can say this COVID-19 situation as a whole. We can take that as a whole as an example. So if I want to write something based on this experience, so I will write how our lives has changed after this this entire incident of COVID-19. So that will be incident, right? The story based on incident, wherein I won't try to change the facts or I won't try to change much things, but I'll just stick to what it is and exactly put it into words. Now the another one is as you can see, fantasy. Now, fantasy as a writing is totally a fiction kind of a writing, wherein you entirely create a world of your own and you bring all the characters in and you give a life to those characters, and it totally depends on your wild imagination as to what you want to get into it. For example, if you can see Harry Potter, it's an entire, you can say it's a fantasy writing completely, and it takes you into its world totally. So that kind of writing it's based on. And the third is desires. So desires can be one, you can say desires like, okay, I want this in my life. So I make up a writing which has those things into my writing. For example, if I want to be a successful writer, so I desire to be a successful writer and more successful writer rather. So what I'll do is I'll just make or weave a story around a similar concept that already has me as a successful writer and what is happening after that. So it is based on the desires, like our desires. Okay. So these are the three aspects of story on which story is based. Then okay. Now once we have the base of the story and we have the four vital ingredients to a story, what we can do is we can commence the art of putting everything into words. Okay. So and I'm quite sure you will have a lot of questions already, levitating over your head, and you all will be going through what I went through in my early days of writing. Like, okay, I have a thought, but I am really not able to put it into words. And how am I supposed to do it? I know I have an incident, and I really have these characters, and I really know the plot, I really know the place and everything. But how am I supposed to put it into words? So all the writers have this three basic what do you call it, strategies of putting their thoughts into words. Okay. So before I start with that, what we can do is we can view the world again through the writer's side of the tunnel. Okay. Now, let me ask, a general question like, does it ever happen to you all that you think of an idea or an event or you can say some story and it is so good that you just want to write it down. Wow. Well, you just want to write it down, but you don't just want to write it down because while you're working or you're commuting, you want a me time to write it down. You just want to sit down, take your own time and put it into words. So what you do, you keep it on hold until and unless you get that particular time. And when you finally have that time and you sit down to write, oh, the thought just vanishes. Like it doesn't vanish completely, but you kind of lose the desire to write or pen it down. Or worse still, you don't remember how it was in the morning. Like it is not the same now, it has changed. So and many times it happens that you lose on to the the main ideas or the main concepts that were around that thought. So in order to overcome all of this, the good news is that you will no longer lose those ideas, as there are three strategies which are already there. And the first one is the carpenter's method. Now this is the easiest way to produce content very fast. Okay, so the first is you have to choose an idea. Now example, if I want to write something into fiction or science fiction, so what I'll do is I choose an idea. Okay, so now my idea is want I have this future technology in mind, wherein there's a device which records your past, present, and future, and the person in front of you can see your past, present, and future through that device. All the events are particularly recorded in that device. So now this is my idea. I want this idea to be developed into words. Now, how will I outline my post? Okay, so I've already chosen my idea. Now I'll outline my post. How will I do that? Okay, so now what I'll do is, now this device is there. I can introduce four characters or four friends, and I can have them using this device, and there will be something that one friend uh, sees and reacts in a particular way and knows about some secrets, and I can revolve, like I can weave some story around this particular thing. So when I have those idea of characters in mind, I'll write a rough draft of what is. I'll not entirely write the story, but I'll write an incident of what happened. Okay, they met. Okay, they met, and this happened, and probably when they were talking to each other, it was not a deliberate attempt. It was by mistake that one saw something related to the past of someone, and then the story, unrolled. So what you can do is you can write a rough draft after that. Then you can revise your content. Then once the rough draft is finished, you complete writing your rough draft. Then you can revise the content and see where have you gone wrong, where the plot is missing. Have you written something and haven't related it in the next scene, or it is just hanging in there. You have introduced something, but it has nothing to do, in the future or in the story of yours. Then you just eliminate that thing. And editing, of course, we'll be talking about editing in the future, in the coming slides. So I'll just keep that on hold for now. And this is as the carpenter's method, and it's probably the best method for the beginners who are not able to put their thoughts into words entirely right from the scratch. So this is the best method for them. Now rewriting method is for someone who want to write things about themselves. It's like essence. Okay, first of all, you have to write your ideas as fast as possible. Okay, so this writing is basically for the ones wherein you have to portray yourself or your feelings and how you're feeling or what are you going through. You have to write it down as fast as you can. Then you have to find the essence of the content. For example, if I want to write about depression, okay, so what I'll do is I'll just scribble things down. How I'm feeling, and then I'll find the essence of that. Okay, so the essence is depression, and
Hold on, Swati. Swati, put on. Swati, you're on mute. Swati, unmute yourself. I think somebody mistakenly put you on mute. You're still on mute.
when did I go on mute? Do you know?
Somebody put you on mute by mistake.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Okay, so free writing method is basically
Okay, hold on. You're again on mute. Palaksha put you on mute. Sorry. You'll have to come back again. Unmute yourself.
that's it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So where were we? We were on the free writing method. So free writing method is I'll just
I'm sorry, you guys. There's some technical glitch. Swati, you're constantly going on mute. There'll have to be some other way that you can do something about it.
but then there will be a lot of disturbance. Is it fine if I do that? If I remove my earphones and go directly?
Yes, it's fine, but I don't know whether we will hear you or no.
Yeah, that's the whole point. That's the reason.
It's okay. Let's just try it again, and I just hope you don't go on mute again. Let's try it.
Sorry, I'll
You
go
can
Yeah,
again.
continue,
now we can
Swati.
hear you. We can hear you.
We can hear you
We can
now.
hear you now.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why is this happening, but Swati, there's somebody or the other who's constantly
Guys,
putting you
that's
on
okay.
mute.
This won't be repeated. I guess it's from someone's end. But Swati, you can continue right now.
No, Swati's still on mute for me.
No, no, now she won't be. There was someone who was muting her, so
Okay.
now it's done.
Swati, just unmute yourself and start, and you can start again. Swati, yeah. Swati, unmute yourself. Swati, unmute yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, much better.
So what am I supposed to do now? Just is it a technical error or is it because of my earphones or
No,
what?
I think there was somebody who was constantly putting you back on mute. That's okay. Let's just go back to the knitter slide and you can continue from there. Knitter,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, free writing method. So this is a method wherein if you are inclined towards writing something that you've experienced, so usually writers go use this method for that particular purpose. So what you do is you can write ideas as fast as possible. For example, you didn't have a very good day, you had a very gloomy day, and you just write it down as fast as possible, and then you try to find an essence of what you have written. Okay, and the essence of your writing is basically all the negativity or anxiety.
Again, she's on mute.
Okay. Shraddha, are you able to hear me?
Shraddha is also on mute.
Wow, I can hear you now. I do not know why somebody's. I'm so sorry for this technical glitch that's happening. We'll just
Okay.
continue.
Okay. Fine. Okay. So yeah. So what happens is then you have to find your essence to your content. Like what is the essence to your content? So it will be like if you had a gloomy day, it will be negativity or anxiety, and you can frame something or build something around that particular topic. Uh, and then you can frame something and
Swati, you've gone on mute again. Swati, you're on mute.
okay.
We can hear you now, Swati. You can continue.
Okay. Yeah. So all right. Fine. So after that, after you have framed everything around a particular idea, around a particular essence of that content, you can just revise your content and do all the necessary editing. Now, this is the third is the knitter's method. Now, knitter's method is something which I follow as a writer, if you are asking me, because I like to finalize things before moving on to the next thing. So, knitter's method is basically the perfectionist method, you call it. And that means a writer writes something and makes it a point to get that perfect before moving on to the next thing. Okay, so experienced writer basically thrive on the knitting method, and because for a beginner, spending time on perfecting things would rather be tedious. So if you are going for a beginner, you can try these two methods, that carpenter method and free writing method. But as if you are an experienced writer, you should go more for a knitter's method. There is another thing that normally follow. Like sometimes when I'm stuck at writing, then what I go is I just go to my old content or old writings and just try polishing those writings instead of writing something new. And when I'm having all these thoughts, then again I'll go back to writing the fresh content. So basically this is how I handle writing as a writer, if you want to know all about it. So Shraddha, are there any questions, or are we addressing questions in the end of the session only?
I think we'll just straight away address the questions in the end.
Okay, fine. All right. So now that we have already seen the strategies to put our thoughts into words, we will go on to the next thing, that is how to write engaging content. Now, this is a very tedious thing. First of all, now creating or engaging content, or the content that keeps your audience hooked onto your writing. So there are three major things. There's no rocket science in that, and you only have to focus on the three major aspects of it. First of all, it is invoke multiple senses. For example, as a writer, when you write, just don't go for things that are seen. You can use sounds, sense, taste, sensations. Like for example, she heard him before she felt him before she heard him. So this sentence speaks for itself. It has a really good depth involved into it. That means she actually felt the vibe of him before she actually heard or saw him. So try invoking more other senses into your writings, and that's how you'll be able to keep your audiences hooked onto your writing. So next is creating intriguing characters or complex characters. Now, readers always want characters with whom they can relate or sympathize with. For example, Harry Potter or Tywin Lannister from Game of Thrones. So they always want someone who they can, sympathize with, they can relate to rather. And if we build something around that, then you actually relate to the character, and you start feeling for the character, and you start thinking from the character's point of view, and you always want to know what happens next, or how his life evolves, or what happens to his life. Does he get what he wants and everything? So it is very important that when you're writing an engaging content, it is creating characters or building up characters are very important. Okay, and third is evoke strong emotions. Okay, so now uh, evoke strong emotions. Emotions would be like we as writer have many emotions in our you call a bucket, in our writing bucket. Uh, for example, humor, love, determination, anger, and so on. Now, when you push this particular emotions into your writing, it keeps the reader engrossed into it. Okay, so he was angry. So what he did in his anger. So it's very important that you explain the character state of mind while writing a particular scene or writing a particular plot. It is very important that you put all the characters and their emotions in place. So without which your reader won't be able to connect to you. As a reader, nobody will be able to connect to your writing. If you're just saying that, okay, he went and he got what he wanted. For example, Rahul. just went to a place and he uh, bought a laptop. But what happened? Okay, so what happened when he did that? So his emotion is very important. He was very ecstatic. He was very excited. What he did, he was very nervous. So these things actually uh, help you to write better, and as a reader, they keep them, engrossed into your writing. Okay, so now is the most crucial part of any writing, and as a writer, everybody, I guess, everyone who has been writing professionally, if there are anyone here, they really hate this part of, writing, that is editing your writing, because writing is like your baby, and when someone just scratches down your sentences like that, you're like, I've taken months to write that. You cannot do that in just single go. But that's the bitter truth, that you have to edit your writing, and there are steps to do that as well. So first of all, I'll share a little secret of mine before going on to the steps. That me as a writer, what I do is when I write a particular story, I keep that story for like anywhere between 3 to 6 weeks, and it's kept for marination. I keep it there like that, untouched. And after 3 to 6 weeks, when I have I completely forget about the story, or you can say I have a complete different insight about the story. I just go and start editing the story. So what you have to do when you go back to your writing after 3 to 6 weeks is what I'm going to share next. Okay.
Swati, you'll have to reshare your screen. It's gone small again.
Mm,
It's just a
what has
second.
happened, Shraddha? Can you tell me?
It's become small. I mean, you'll have to reshare it. It's on the smaller page. It's just like a thumbnail right now.
You'll have
Stop
to go
presenting
back
on.
to presenter mode.
Yeah.
1 second. I'll stop sharing and then start
Yes.
sharing again. Done?
Just share your screen.
Is it done?
Yes, done.
Okay. Okay. So first step is, no matter how short the story is or how long the story is, the first step to editing is print out your story. Okay. So what happens is, when you see your own words onto paper, it gives you a sense of confidence that, oh yes, I have done it. So it is something which is very on a very conscious, subconscious, or psychological term. But seeing your writing on a paper gives you that sense of confidence. Just try it once, and you will understand what I'm saying. Okay. Now, next is read your story and take notes. Now, what you have to do in this is just read your story. Don't judge it, just read it, and whatever you like, place a heart against it. Whatever you don't like, place a cross against it. And whatever you think that, okay, why did I write this in first place? Put a question mark next to it. Okay, just review your story. Next is assess your story structure. Okay, now this is very important. If your story is in a proper flow, because many times it happens that your thinking process is too fast and your writing is too slow. I'm very sure people will relate to this. You think a lot, but you write comparatively very less as compared to that. So when you review your writing again, you will understand that there are few missing spots or few missing plots, or this sequence should have been before this one, and it's a little the sequence is not proper. So what assessing your story structure will help you to understand if the flow of the story is correct or not. Okay, so, and of course the plots which are irrelevant for it, like we already spoke about the plots, like if you have introduced something into the story and if it is not making any sense in the coming part of the story, then just eliminate it or edit it completely, because keeping it will only confuse your readers as to what had happened in first place. So now evaluate your character and theme. Okay, so once you are done with the story structure, your flow is proper and your story is in a proper flow, look for the following. Now, what it is? Now, consistency. Okay. Now, consistency as a character. I'll take an example of Augustus Waters from Fault in Our Stars. There was consistency in his character. All the while he was kind, he was sympathetic, he was sensitive, and that was the core of his character. So that consistency was maintained throughout the story, irrespective of whatever situation he was in or whatever he went through. That was always there. So make sure that is there. Though your character doesn't lose its consistency. Just don't go like the Mad Queen from Game of Thrones. Uh, Now, strong need and want. Okay. Now, when you develop a character in a story, there is a particular need or a want that a character aspires or desires to have. So make that very clear to your readers that okay, this is the character and this is what he wants. Okay, so like we had taken an example of Augustus Water.
How will you describe parkour while narrating a part?
How will I describe what?
Parkour. Sakshi, do you mean parkour as a sport parkour?
Hello.
Yeah. So I
Hello.
think she means like there's a sport called parkour, and how would you explain that while putting it while in a content? How would you put that up?
Depending upon what the content is, like how long do you want me to, actually develop his character as. You can actually put on his physical features uh, or his, the attitude he carries when he's on roll rather.
Okay, so what she basically means by parkour is a movement like Spider-Man jumping from one house to another to
Okay,
save someone. How would you put that?
1 second. Huh?
You were on the next
Yeah,
slide.
sure. Where was I? It was in
Next slide. Next. Keep going ahead.
here.
Ahead. No, a little more ahead. Yes, you were at strong need and want.
I was
Evaluate
at.
your character. Evaluate your
I,
character with strong need and want.
okay, need and want, right? Yeah. So yeah, what you were asking? Uh, as a Spider-Man's character, how will I do that?
No, the sport that he does, the sport that he actually follows, where he jumps from one building to another, is called parkour. Where it's basically a
Okay,
movement of stunts. Various stunts are called parkour together. So how would
okay.
you narrate
So
that in a part? Like probably just like 5 lines. How would you narrate that?
probably you can say that he does, whatever you see rather, I like acrobat. Uh, from jumping from one wall, he just. You want me to explain it right now? Like it's a really difficult task to do because as a writer, you're in a very different frame of mind when you're taking a workshop and when you're sitting
Right.
down to write, you're in a very different state of mind. But if she wants, I can do that and I can give it to her and she can go through it.
Sure. Probably yes. And actually, if you're interested, you can.
Shraddha, you're on mute.
Okay. Sakshi, if you want, you can join our course at any point, and we will answer questions there. Uh, Swati, you can continue with your. And you're on mute again.
Okay. Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So one is where was I? Strong need and strong need and want, right?
Yes.
So yeah. So you have to understand the needs and wants of the character, basically. Uh, when you say the need and want of a character, like what exactly the character wants. So you can say as I take an example of Augustus Waters, he as a character, he is dedicated towards Miss Grace. So what he wants as a character is what he wants is majorly spending time with her and being with her all the while, and his need is quite apparent in the entire story. Uh, so that is his particular need and want, and it is very consistent till the end, and even the readers are able to know what the needs and wants are. So as a writer, you have to make it a point that the characters of the story have strong needs and wants, and their needs and wants are properly put forth, to the readers. So the next is the reason. Now there is a particular reason why we're following a person. Okay, so when you follow a character, you can relate to something with the character, and that's the reason you can follow that character. For example, Harry Potter. There was something you could relate with that particular character, and as a result, you were following that particular character. So there has to be a strong reason, and you have to identify the reason why readers follow a particular character and build a character, but depending on those particular reasons. Uh, then there is a purpose of a story. Now, main purpose of the story. For example, like going back to our science fiction story, which was there, where there was a device, and I had given an example of a device, and the device used to record your past, present, and future, and as a result, you were able to see what is happening. So, going back to the purpose of the story was majorly putting science fiction into the story and how that particular device is changing the lives of changing our lives. So my purpose of the story was that. So I have to make sure that during my writing or during the flow of my writing, I have not deviated or have not just taken a wrong path or taken some another path and changed the entire purpose of my story. And if that happens, we have to edit it and get the purpose of the story back into motion. Now, edit for prose. Okay, edit for prose. You can say you have to remove the filler words or the cliche words, or you can say passive voices. You have to. It will be more of the active voice. You know, we have all been talking about active voices, like the cat ate the mouse. So this is more of an active voice, and we have to use more active voice throughout our writing rather than passive voices, because it tends to increase the number of words. And anything, mostly the adverbs, which are after the word said or before the word said, said quietly, said what you can say quickly, or said slowly. So all these words you have to eliminate if you want to make your writing very crisp. Because if you already have explained the state of mind of a character, you didn't, or they did not actually again, tell what is happening or how is he saying those things. So, but at the end of the day, you are the writer and you know your story well. So if you feel that your gut feeling tells you that, okay, fine, I want to do this and I want to keep this word or keep this sentence, then go ahead, please do it and keep it. That is my suggestion to you as a writer, because if you really want and intend to keep it, and it is you as a writer have a confidence that no, this will go, then please go ahead with it. Okay. Now, seventh, the last step is, have a friend and have them review your story and ask for reviews. And I'm very sure Matul, Shraddha, everyone out here, and like quite a few out here already know that I do this on a personal level, that I write something and I just share it with a friend and ask them and take their review or take their feedback and edit things accordingly. So this is what is basically editing, because it allows you to have their perception as well. It is not just your perception, but it adds on to their what they think about, or what they are thinking about it, the story. Are they able to understand what is written? Because many a times you will understand what is written because you are the writer, of course. But many a times it happens that when you give it to someone else, they are not able to relate to anything. Like they go blank. Like what is happening in the story? They are not able to understand. So in that case, an honest review from your friend is really helps you a lot. So as a beginner into writing, I really think that these points are quite enough. And this, if you are going for editing. Um, okay, so now that I have covered almost everything, and let's come to the discipline part. Uh, okay, so I know writers are a tad messy, and they are clumsy, and most importantly, they are quite moody. Like depending upon what I'm facing, I'm just telling you all, like we are quite moody, and as all they all say that all the creative minds are. So let's cut the long, lengthy process of how to be a disciplined writer and all that, and just stick to one cult that I have been religiously following in my entire time as a writer. That is letting the subconscious talk. Now, what is basically this? You can see it on the screen. You can read it, and you probably have got an idea. So let me just give you an insight into what it is. I wake up in the morning. I take my phone, and as most of us, like 90% of us, take our phones into the bathrooms, like we all do it, and we sit and we browse through the internet or check our WhatsApp or use Twitter. So what I religiously follow is I sit down and I make it a point. I've made it a habit to write down whatever comes into my mind. May it be a dream, a fresh dream, or may it be any thought, or may there be multiple thoughts. And this is something I have been doing, and it is tried and tested. So please do this on a regular basis, and you can see see changes happening in you. You know, in 21, in the coming 21 days, if you follow this, you can actually see that there are changes happening. Okay, so I guess this is from my end, and if you have any questions, so Shraddha, here your role comes in. So
Shraddha, you're on mute.
If anybody has any questions, please type it in. Swati, Sakshi has asked you a question that goes, while
okay,
describing our characters, which moral compass we can show of them?
moral what?
Moral compass.
Moral.
Compass. Like, how would you explain that character morally? Like, what kind of a character it's supposed to be?
Can you let's just ask Sakshi to elaborate a little, because it's a
Sakshi, can
very
you please
vague
unmute
idea.
yourself? Yeah, Sakshi, could you please unmute yourself and ask this question to her? Okay, I do not know. Okay, till the time. No, no, no. There is enough background noise. Okay, she's not coming. Okay. Somebody else
Okay,
asked. Okay, Rajkumar is asked. How do we know and how can we stop that from deviating from our story? Okay, that's first
okay.
question. And the second question, something that is what is important, story or narration?
I think story is important according to me, because if story is there, you will narrate it equally well. I mean, the narration parts comes in where you can use your own imagination. You can put in characters which were not there in the story, like when you formed the story, it was not there. But you can add those characters when you are narrating a particular thing, or when you're writing down a particular thing. So I guess for me, a base story is important, and anything that you can weave a lot of things around that particular story, around that particular idea.
Right.
Okay, so I hope I've answered that question.
Yes.
And
Okay.
before that, you asked.
Before that, it was like, how do we know and when can we stop that we are deviating from the story?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, many a times it happens that when we are building a character, we lose the consistency of the characters. Okay, so for example, as I had already explained, if I'm building a character on the main virtues, like he's kind and sensitive, and so what happens is, for the time being, if I'm reading a story, okay, he's kind and sensitive, but something happens to him, or an event happens in his life, and he turns into this. Shrewd or cunning or kind of a person. But if you want to keep the purpose of the story intact and don't want to deviate like from the story, then what you can do is you can get the character's consistency back, and that's how you can just stick to your main purpose of the story, like what you wanted to actually convey to the people. That's how you can do it.
Okay. There's another interesting question from Riddhi Jain. She's like, when to use active and passive voice?
Active and passive voices are basically, I guess mostly you have to use active voices, because what happens in passive voices is you end up saying the same things, but adding more words to it. That's the main thing. So when you're writing mostly in present form, so it is like this thing is happening currently. So when the story is in the present form, you mostly go for active voices. And if it is in most past forms, then you can just try and use passive voices, but only a little of them, not much.
Okay, everyone, this is the last question that we're taking. Any more questions that you have, please mail it to support@skillwise.pro and we'll try and answer as many as possible. Uh,
Okay.
Swati, this is the last question for you. It's like, this is by Harshal Sangvi. Okay, his question is, many a times you want to write a real incident in a fictional manner. How to hide
Yeah.
the realness if we don't want to know that it is real?
Okay. Okay.
How to
Okay.
work on the
Okay.
fictional reality?
It's a very interesting question, and I would be really willing to answer this one because
Yeah.
I've been doing it all my life. And what you can do is, what is his name?
His name is Harshal.
Harshal. Yeah,
Yes.
Harshal. What you can do is, for example, if a male, you have experienced something through a male, you can change the gender completely. Okay, and that can help because deviate the entire focus of from where it was. For example, if I give you okay, I'll just give you an incident, Harshal. What will happen is we have a group of friends, and those friends are going for a picnic. Okay, and something like two of them are actually have an affair, but they don't want or are in a relationship, but they don't want anybody to know about it. And you have experienced this as a person, and you want to write it down, but you don't want them to know about it. So what you can do is you can, instead of a picnic, you can write that it is the office gathering, or you can change the setup, the place, and you can change the plot, but the main idea of this relationship being hidden from others the core idea will always remain the same. So that's how you can do it, Harshit. I think I've answered that question.
Right. Yes, you have.
Yeah.
So everyone, I'm sharing a link. We'll be giving out the recording of this workshop as well as the certificate for attending. Please fill in your details on the link. I know we've not answered a lot of questions because time being the constraint. We've also not covered a lot of
Okay.
topics because it's a
So
webinar. Yes, Swati, you were saying something.
yes, before everything, like before ending this workshop, I would really like to thank Skillwise for handing me an opportunity to do this. And to be very frank, I was quite nervous with this webinar thing because as a writer, I've always been in a shell and I've not been exposed to a lot of things. But thanks to Skillwise team, particularly Nitul and Shraddha, who encouraged me, like, okay, fine, you can do it, you can do it. And I'm here conducting a webinar, a lot of things, but I'm sure I'll cope up with it in the next webinar, which will be in next month. And I want to make a course announcement as well. Like we'll be conducting, Skillwise will be conducting content marketing workshops, and you can give your like any queries regarding the same. You can write us at support@skillwise.com, skillwise.pro, and we'll be willing to help you. So yeah, that's it from my end, Shraddha. You can take over.
Shraddha,
Right.
you can announce the upcoming workshops which we're having.
Yes, everybody. So we are having two new workshops that will be coming
Okay.
up for the next week. We have web development. After that, we have creative design, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you all again. Also, our course will be coming up very soon for content marketing. If you are interested, please send in your details to support@skillwise.pro. We would happily want to see more people subscribing to it. Also, there'll be another workshop on content writing very soon. I hope you all enjoyed it. And for anything else, please visit our website. All your queries will be sorted. And I hope to see you again. Is there anything anybody else would like to add?
So guys, please go to the link on the chat box and share your details with us so we can send your certificates along.
Right.
And,
There's a link.
yeah.
I've added a link. I've also added I've also added the email IDs for anything else that you'll require. Okay.
Thing, you guys will get an email with a drive link to download the recorded version of this webinar, along with a few resources to help you through with whatever strategies that Swati really very well shared with us. And we also have a few upcoming courses on content marketing. So we'll keep you posted on those courses, along with a digital marketing course that's coming up that we are launching on the 15th of August. So be sure to share your interests with us on support@skillwise.pro. Right. So, and keep visiting our website for updates on courses and updates on workshops. So that's pretty much it from my side.
Yeah, it's pretty much from our side as well. Thank you everybody for attending. Thank you, Ramesha, that you enjoyed it. Ayush, pleasure is all ours. And we are looking forward to see you all in more of our classes as much as possible.